आपने डोनेशन दे दिया है। चाहे चाहिए ना, पब्लिक डिमांड भी है भाई। हरि ओम एवरीवन। हरि ओम। I was thinking of something. It's about the teachers. Wherever this effort, whether it is back in India or here, the major support that comes from is from the parents, because this is purely run by the volunteers and nobody gets paid. Everybody is a volunteer. And whenever I have talked about volunteering as a teacher, people have always said, Swamiji, there is no bone in me which tells me that I could be a teacher. You must be kidding. You don't want me as a teacher in those classrooms. I am not a good teacher. And that too on this subject of Hinduism. Never ever. What do I look for when I look for teachers? There are two things that I look for. One is that you are a parent. No students? Please join. So the first thing that I look for is you are a parent. Are you all parents? Undoubtedly. But you know, like the car dealers, you don't have a recall. Okay. So when you say unfortunately, no, this is for a lifetime. You got to deal with your own genes. So first thing that I look for is you are a parent. Second is, do you value our Vedic culture, Sanatana Dharma, to be taught to our next generation? Yes or no? Those are the two criteria that are required. One, that you are a parent yourself. Second, that you love, that this knowledge, this tradition, this age-old, unbroken civilizational tradition is given to the next generation without break. But Swamiji, I don't know head or tail of this whole thing. Did you know about parenting? Did you get a handbook? Did the child come with a use me this way kind of a book, brochure? Nobody came with that book. But we ended up being parents. Right? Unfortunately, but still. I'm just using her word unfortunate again. That is your humility. If you have in your wisdom brought them here, definitely I would give you 10 out of 10. Not because I trust the institution, which I do. It is because you have made a conscious effort to be a part of it. So similarly, if you love children and that you love this knowledge and wisdom, Therefore, you want it to be shared. Learning to be a teacher can happen. There is a possibility. And the best way to learn is to teach. I'll tell you my first experience. I was about 14 or so. This was in 89. Yeah, 88, 89. I had already met Puja Gurudev, Swami Chinmaya. We were outside of Hyderabad. Now it has become inside of Hyderabad. It has expanded. Outskirts of Hyderabad, we were about 15, 20 youngsters, and we used to have a Yuva Kendra class. But imagine 15, 20 of us without a sevak or a moderator. So every week was a chaos. And we tried continuing for almost a year. But it was every class was a frustration because everybody came out frustrated. It was like an Epcot center. Have you ever been to Disney World? Have you gone to Epcot? You know that international thing, where you get a flavor of all aspects of the world? That is called the Epcot Center. You will not miss it. Do you know what Epcot stands for? Every person comes out tired. Our experience in Yuva Kendra class was like that. Every person came out frustrated. There was no head or tail, right? So when Gurudev visited Hyderabad, all of us, 15, 20 of us, we went with our request. There are so many adults, one of them who has been there for a long time, why don't you appoint them as the moderator? We will benefit out of it. So Gurudev heard us. I was the loudest voice, so he heard me for 5-10 minutes, and then from his side table he pulled out a book. It was the old edition of Self-Unfoldment, if you have seen the book. He looked at me and asked my name. So I gave my name, he wrote, and then he turned to me, gave the book, and I said, from next week, meaning this coming week, you teach and they will listen. मेरे तो तोते उड़ गए. I was like, this is not the solution. And then he mischievously smiling to others, the rest, like out of the 20, I was nailed down, and the other 19 he mischievously looks and he says, when he comes for every class henceforth, it is your job to corner him with all awkward questions that he should be ready to answer. And I was like, not fair. I said, study the entire chapter, write down that which are talking to you, and speak about them from your experience. And remember, 19 of them will be ready to nail you down. You should present the topic in such a way, convincing way, that the 19 are on your side. And to the 19 he said, make sure that if he is straying even a bit, that it is your job to not allow him stray. And then he carved a teacher out of me by throwing me at the deep end. Rest is history. Similarly, if you love children and if you love this Sanatana Dharma, then I would implore upon you, even if you do not know, training will be given, that can happen. The best way to learn is when you become a teacher. Why? Because 20 odd sets of eyes are watching you. And these kids, there was a show, right? The kids say the dance things. man, they can nail you and whip you into shape. Talking to adults is the easiest part of my life. Talking to children, I am at my wit's end. Why? Because you don't know from which corner they ask what kind of questions. I'll tell you my classic examples, one or two of them. This was my first time teaching American kids. I had just been transported to this country. This is July 2002. And July 4th weekend, we have the Mahasamadhi camp. No, July end, we have the Mahasamadhi camp, and I was asked to teach. I was given 4th grader. And the topic was Bhagavatam. Earlier, I have spoken on the entire Bhagavatam. I have done Bhagavata Saptahas. Almost 8 years I have done that. I go to this crowd, cultural shock, because nobody is sitting straight. Coming from an Indian mindset, I want all the students to be seated in a disciplined manner. They were in all positions that were not even mentioned in the yoga book. Alag. Pretty soon I gathered that though they are in different positions, they are paying attention. I quickly picked on that. So first day, interaction, I am trying to make an impression because I have to continue next 7 days with that very crowd. Because the first day, the grip that you get, if you don't, then the rest 7 days is a misery for them and me. So I thought I nailed it, the narration and the story, and everybody were into it. This kid raises the hand right in the middle of the interaction. And he says, he doesn't even wait for me to give the permission. He raises his hand and he asks the question. Was Kamsa, the story was that Kamsa hears the statement from the heavens that the 8th son is going to kill you. So he is about to kill them both, but both of them request, Devaki and Vasudeva request to be spared and that they will give every child to him. And they were put in prison. So this kid raises his hand and says, was Kamsa dumb or what? When your objection is sustained, obviously he was dumb. I should have kept quiet. I said, what is your reason? I asked, what is your reason? Remember, what grade was this? 4th grade. And that 4th grader says, he could have resolved all of this if he would have put both Devaki and Vasudeva in 2 different prisons. I was like, I had been teaching this topic, never ever had that thought crossed my thinking. Second, my jaw drop was 4th grade, man. I learned these things in 9th or 10th grade. Like I was shocked, cornered. Ab kya bolu main? So immediately I recovered. I said, you know what, for your sharp presentation of thought, if I ever have a political party, I will have you as my PR. He was happy, I was happy, but that was not the question that he was asking. So I quickly recovered and said, we are talking about that Vishnu who did not require a parent as a cause to be born. Don't you remember that he came out of a pillar? That who can come out of a pillar, do you think putting them in 2 different prisons would have resolved? Krishna would have been definitely born. He would have found a method to be born. So the kid says, that dude Vishnu could do a lot of things. Another shock. कि भगवान को डूड बोलते हैं यहाँ पे. So the kids can put you in that kind of a situation where now you have to do Shastra Raksha and answer to that inquisitive mind in providing an answer which would inspire them to listen more. This only teaching can bring. Just reading will not suffice, listening will not suffice. You are put in that spot. So, my request is, how many of you are brave heart enough to jump in and help us help your kids? We will train you, but we need you there. Anybody? एक, दो, तीन. You are already teaching. That's good. He's our next generation. Rahul. Good. Anybody else from this side? I'm looking at all those who ask too many questions. एक बार तो पढ़ा के तो दिखाओ. You are welcome to be a teacher, Priya. And Rakhi, you too. Yes, what's your question? Yes, that was my next point. Is those of you who say becoming a teacher we will miss on this satsang, you will have to come 1 hour earlier than the session time, where I have teacher satsang for both the session teachers. So 10:45 to 11:45 I have teacher satsang, so you could join that. And I just started today introduction into Ishavasya Upanishad. So you will benefit from that, and that will not be taken away. Like, you will not miss on satsangs. Okay, one more. Duh, man. You can. It is live as well on YouTube. You can listen to it on YouTube as well. But, yaar, teacher ban jao na. We have there are always 2 teachers in a classroom. So even if you miss, say 3 or 4 in a year, it would be okay. Chhodenge nahi. Sunil ji, can you please take names? आपका नाम? राहुल, आगे पीछे? राहुल गांधी. Rahul ji, I totally understand why you were not giving the. But whoever laughed, I promise you they were not laughing at you. They were laughing at your namesake, who brings a lot of joy. Rahul Gandhi. Rahul. No. Rahul, there is one more. Rahul Bharadwaj. Ravi Rama. And who else? Arvind Chokhani. Ramakrishna. आगे पीछे. Ramakrishna. Anjali Kapadia. Priya Rakhi. Rakhi is. No, he's just using that last name now. Okay, thank you. You will be paired with somebody who has already been teaching, so that you will not be thrown on the deep end like how I was thrown. You will get to learn from them the ropes, and then from there on you can start taking lead on it. The teacher's material, that which was used on training the teachers, that will also be provided, the link, so you listen to it and prep. And the lesson planning is also there, so you just have to prepare for that lesson and be there. Thank you for joining the force. हर साल एक pitch तो बनता है. Once at least I have to ask. I still have my eyes on 2-3 of you. I will meet you personally. Are you threatening us, Swamiji? No. I am just using the dialogue that which Schwarzenegger used. I'll be back. Okay, now we get into Bhaja Govindam. Oh, you need support for AV also. Huh. Is there anybody who is good with audio, visual, and aap hai? Please get up. You can listen to me from there. Thank you, Pa. Do you need more? Thank you for. Okay, now we get back to our book in hand, which is called Bhaja Govindam. Bhaja Govindam is written by Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya ji. Let us first understand Adi Shankaracharya ji, and then we understand his times and why he did what he did. Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya, the reason I say Bhagwan, for us, the entire Guru Parampara, whoever has given us this knowledge is no less than Bhagwan himself. If you Google, you would find that there is a discrepancy of about 800 years of his year of birth. I can understand 1 or 2 years, even a decade here and there, but a discrepancy of 800 years. Therefore, I say, if you want to know anything about Hinduism, Wikipedia is the lousiest place to find resource, because you will find the discrepancy there, most of the discrepancies there. It says 6th century BCE to 3rd century AD. That's vast. Now, when was Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya? He was few hundred years after a double impact on the Indian society called Buddha and Mahavir. Buddha and Mahavira, few hundred years after that was Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya. He was born in Kerala. His paternal home was in Kaladi, but the maternal home was in Veliyanad. That very house that he was born in the maternal home, is where we have Chinmaya International Foundation, CIF, which is where all our Chinmaya Mission research work happens from, aptly so. In the year 84 or 85, Puja Gurudev came to know that the ancestral property was on sale, that those who belong to Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya's lineage, they owned that land, they wanted to sell it. So as soon as Gurudev found it, he called the board member for the Kerala Chinmaya mission and he commissioned him to go enquire, and if they are really on sale, buy it. In 84, the asking price was, I think, 10 lakhs or 11 lakhs. Gurudev said, make it 27 lakhs and give it to them. It is to those ancestors without whose presence we would not have had Hinduism to even associate with. To such a stalwart and his family, giving this financial support would be peanuts. So it was purchased, and that is the place where we also have host state-of-the-art library with manuscripts which are about, the oldest manuscript there that I have seen is about 11,000 years old. It is on the palm leaf. And how did we decipher that it was 11,000 years old? The manuscript itself describes the Tithi, Vara, Nakshatra as to when it was commissioned, when it was written. The author himself says it. So there is some amazing research that happens from there. Very recently, when I say recently, about 6 years ago, in Karnataka, Kerala border, there was an ancestral home of some Panditji that was being renovated to build an apartment complex. In that house that was being pulled down, in the attic, they found manuscripts which is in a lipi which is not used today. When I say lipi, understand, the Sanskritam that we read today in Devanagari is a new format. They are about a couple of thousand years old. Devanagari, like you know how your kids write Sanskritam bhajans and others, in what language do they write? They write it in English, right? Similarly, today writing it in Devanagari, but in the ancient, it was written in a language called Sharada Lipi or Brahmi Lipi. At that time when they found this volume of treasure, in the entire Indian subcontinent, I should say, entire world, there were only 3 people that knew how to read Sharda Lipi, how to write Sharda Lipi. 2 of them were already in their last phase of life. One of them couldn't even remember, the other one was in immovable condition. There was only one person. So we requested that Mahatma, that Panditji, he came down to Sif, and in the last 10 years or so, 8 to 10 years, there have been at least about 3,500 research scholars who have now mastered that particular lipi. They can read, write and translate it from that language, that lipi, into the Sanskrit that we have today. The research work in that place. So Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya ji was born in that house. That house is still intact. If you ever happen to be in Kerala, Ernakulam, it is about 45 minutes drive from Ernakulam, you should visit that place. It is called Veliyanad, Chinmaya International Foundation. It's still intact in pristine condition. Many of the Shankaracharyas from Shankarpeet, when they visit Kerala, they make it a point to come and visit that place, because that is still, that reminds me, yesterday night for us, Adi Shankaracharya ji, or the Shankara Mutt lineage of Dwarakadish, he left his mortal coil yesterday. His name was also Swami Swarupananji, and he left. The next Uttaradhikari is already decided, so he will be taking over. just informing you about the great loss of losing Swami Shankara Pithadipati of the Dwarkadish. So Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya ji, when he was about 3 or 4 years of age, he lost his father. His father used to be a guru, running a Gurukula. Most of the knowledge and wisdom that he had already acquired was directly from his own father. The story goes that both husband and wife, Aryamba and Shankara Guru, they both had a dream. Everybody has a dream, right? But this dream was unusual. Both of them had the same dream. Have you ever had such weird situation where you dream and your spouse also dreams the same? I am not talking of any funny statement here. We dream of a better life. We dream of a better understanding. No, I am talking about a real sleep dream, and they both dreamt the same thing. And in the morning, they said, I had this dream. She also said, I had this dream. That Bhagavan Shiva appeared in both of their dreams and said that I want to take birth in your family as your child. But the choice that I'll give you is a child with a long life but a useless fellow, short-lived but a very profound personality. Which one would you choose? And both of them individually in their dreams chose a shorter life but a profound individual. Thus, next year, Panchami, on the same day, was born Shankara. He was named as Shankara because Panchami Tithi, Shankara is the name that goes with that Panchami Tithi. When his father passed away, after a year or so, he goes to his mom he was about 5 years of age. So he goes to his mom and he has a special request. Imagine your 5-year-old coming and talking to you in that language. Then you will understand the impact of it. He says, Mom, I have seen this samsara. There is nothing that entices me in this samsara. With your permission, I want to take to the path of renunciation, sannyasa. Can I? May I? Have you imagined your 5-year-old talking to you about it? What would be your response? Oh, chup, cartoon dekh ja. I am imagining your response, okay? So I may be wrong. At the most you would say, you may be angry with your brother or sister, go watch half an hour extra cartoon. We would not take it that serious. The mother, understanding the question coming from her child, she said, let us give it couple of years and then decide. After a couple of years, he asked again. She pushed it another couple of years. So it is said that by this time they were settled in Kaladi. There is a river that flows by, and in the morning the habit is that the shower, you take bath in the river. As he was taking bath in the river, there was a crocodile that caught his foot and was dragging. Taking renunciation, there are several modes. You take to renunciation to study and attain moksha. That is called the Vividisha Sannyasa. You have already attained it, and therefore you are renouncing it. That is called Vidvat Sannyasa. You know that you are going to die in next few moments, and at that point you relinquish everything. That is called Atura Sannyasa. So that 8-year-old asked the mom was also there at the shore of that river. He said, Mom, the crocodile is pulling me away. I don't find a method to release myself out of here. At least now can I take renunciation. Vichitra hai na? He is not asking ki save me. Main to gaya. I am already done. At least now let me relinquish everything before I am eaten up by this crocodile. She, while crying for help, she says, yes, you can take sannyas. It is said that as soon as the mother gave permission, the crocodile disappeared. And now that she had given her word that he can take sannyasa, she could not rescind her statement, gave her complete blessings. This young 8-year-old had heard about a great guru on the banks of Narmada river. Remember Kerala, Ernakulam, Kaladi? It's right there in the bottom. He had to travel all the way up, somewhere in the borders of Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh. Narmada river is flowing. There, Govinda Bhagavat Pada, a very well renowned in that particular time, 8-year-old travels by foot all the way up there and reaches to his guru. Now the guru looking at an 8-year-old, pata nahi, माँ बाप से झगड़ के आया है, must have fought with the parents or gotten angry with somebody else, and taking sannyasa is like a very common thing that which we hear in Indian households, right? When husband and wife fight, what is the first thing that is, this time I am going to Haridwar, I am not coming back, I will take sannyas. Have you heard such statements? You can use it now. Why? Even in the traditional marriage system, there is a step called Kashi Yatra. Does anybody remember? Now in that step, the boy leaves wearing wooden sandals. It is the girl's side, mama, brother and others who go convince him as to how great an opportunity to marry this girl. Therefore, give up on renunciation, come marry. All the women now wish we had known that time, Swami. Ja. So this 8-year-old coming for what reason? He says, okay, fine, stay in the ashram. So that day in the evening, he meets him again, this young Shankara, and he says, have you heard of Vishnu Sahasranam? He said, yes. Write the meanings of those 1,000 names. The idea being that if you have to write meaning of 1,000 names, it is going to take few months at least. By that time I come to know of this kid and I will realize whether he is really intending to take sannyasa, or if the kid changes his mind, he can always go back. Okay? So that evening, as soon as he heard the request of giving the meanings, it is said he sat down through the night, wrote down the entire commentary, his first commentary at the age of 8 on Vishnu Sahasranama, all 1,000 names, By morning, the manuscript was ready. See, when I say writing down the meaning, it is not just a word meaning. Vishwam Vishnur Vashatkaro Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu, Vishwam, world, Vishnu, that which is all pervading. Not just one word meanings. He has cross referred to about 18 Upanishads, about 21 Puranas, the Vedic literature, that which is the Agama Shastra. He has covered entire, references from Mahabharata, Ramayana, in justifying why this particular word should have only this meaning and nothing else. A very concise, competent commentary was written, and he gave it to Govinda Bhagavad Pada, and it is later said by Sureshwaracharya, student of Adi Shankaracharya ji. He says, it took 3 days to Govinda Bhagavad Padacharya ji to read through the manuscript because of the references that he had given. One week per month, it took me 4.5 years to cover the entire commentary, to give discourses upon. And that profound was given by an 8-year-old. So as soon as he completed reading it, Govinda Bhagavad Padacharya calls him and says, it is my honor to give you sannyasa. Usually it is the student's honor to receive sannyasa, whereas this teacher says, it is my honor to give you sannyasa. Thus he was ordained as Adi Shankaracharya. He was named as Shankaracharya, but the Adi is a title wherein he was the first of the lineage of Shankaracharyas. So at 8 years of age, he receives sannyasa. Many people say that this whole field of sannyasa is started by Adi Shankaracharya ji. Well, his guru was a sannyasi. His guru Gaudapadacharya was a sannyasi. So obviously, sannyasa is not a method or a system which was officiated or invented by Adi Shankaracharya ji. If you read Bhagavatam, Brahmaji first creates sets of children to propagate this world that was created. So the first child or first group of children that he created are called Sanat Kumaras. There were 4 of them. As soon as they were born, they turned to their father and said, Dad, thanks for giving us this opportunity to be born, but we are sorry we will not be able to help you in propagating creation. We want to take sannyasa. The next who was born is Narada. Narad Muni also took sannyasa. Next group, there were 10,000 boys that he created. Naradji goes to them, those 10,000, when they were doing their tapas. He says, Naradji's words, this comes in Bhagavatam. Look, there are 2 kinds of people. Those who are happy and those who are married. If you don't trust me, look at our older brothers. They have also taken to the path of sannyasa, look, they are happy. I have also taken to this path of sannyasa, I am also happy. If you guys want to be happy, take to sannyasa. This is where Brahmaji gets mad at his own son, Narada, and gives him a curse. That you do such kind of mischief because you are stuck in one place. I curse you that you will not stay in a place more than the time required to milk a cow. Naradji says, thank you. It suits my sannyasa, because if I stay in one place is when there is attachment, and I am not there, no attachment. Thank you. But his masti still continues. Then Brahmaji created 10,000 girls. They did their tapas and then they helped the father establish the pattern of propagating this creation. Moral of the story, लड़के हमेशा नालायक होते हैं. Right from the beginning of this creation, boys are a special breed. They don't listen to the parents. Girls listen to the father and they have helped. The point being is, this path of sannyasa is not something that Adi Shankaracharya ji has invented. It has been there right from the beginning of the creation, where the examples have been stated. So Adi Shankaracharya ji, from the age of 8, he was given a short life of 16, which was later extended to 32. So he lived a very short life of 32 years, of which 8 is already done. So how much life was given? Left 24 years. In that 24 years, the volume of literature that he has generated, it can be classified into following categories. One is the segment called commentaries. His meanings that he has given on the entire Upanishads. Sunil ji, एक और $50. I know who it is, ma. I am talking about him. The one in the green kurta. छोड़ेंगे नहीं. So, the commentaries, it's volumes on Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, then Brahma Sutras. That commentary segment itself, it runs in volumes of about 11 or 12 books, just the commentary. Then he has written a stotra or a shloka on every form of God or Devi Devata that you can think of. He has written multiple stotras on them. Then he has written great in-depth Vedantic books. They are called the Prakarana Granthas. There are about 60 plus, major and minor put together, about 60 plus that he has authored. He has written further commentaries on other great rishis, like Patanjali Rishi's Yoga Sutras, Bhashya. Veda Vyasji has written, he has written a side commentary on that. Along with all of these, there was some spontaneous outbursts that came out in the most poetic format. One such is Bhaja Govindam. So that, why was the need for Bhaja Govindam? How did it, what is the environment in which that Bhaja Govindam came about? We will see next week. But this is the intro into Adi Shankaracharya ji's life, very brief. Next, we will go and get into the Bhaja Govindam and its backdrop. Then we will jump directly into the book itself. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. For all those of you who have given your names